We had asked many questions when on the topic of cars. How strong is Cars? How did he lose? Who can Cars defeat? And why did Lisa lose like that, man? Like, she's been in 2 fights, like, all of Battle Tendency, and Speedwagon has been in more fights than her. I'm not saying that he won those, but yeah. Now, Ultimate Cars has always been a difficult topic when it came to fights in JoJo, and a difficulty in general when you want to put Ultimate Cars against other characters from other franchises. Well, I'm going to clear up those two things because there's been misconceptions on Cars as a whole. Let's begin with Cars versus stand users. Now, there's a lot of stand users with a lot of abilities, and then you have users in JoJo with certain abilities. These two abilities being Hamon and Spin. So as a whole, I've been pushing this concept that Hermit Purple has been the visualization of Hamon, like how Ball Breaker is the visualization of Spin. Now there's fans completely with it and using it in arguments with people, and then there's fans that want me to drop it. For the second group, I can understand why it would be difficult to believe that. I bring up the quote of Araki, and that's where it gets to half and half for people again. Well, to clarify, Hermit Purple is the same case as Ball Breaker. Well, you can see the stand, but it has to get to a point of, like, I'd say an all-time high when it comes to the ability. That's why Ball Breaker could only be achieved by the visualization of Super Spin, even though it technically is the visualization of Spin. The quote is pretty iffy to believe anyways, because the whole thing about Araki going back on the past and all. But the whole thing is that, like, this is one of the concepts that I believe that Araki is not just writing out of the blue. This is something that he's actually had planned, and where it actually connects a lot of dots for people that actually want to go in depth with it. The way Araki puts it, the stands in JoJo can be conceptualized as a rarification of hidden talent, with their source being a sort of energy that's been in the earth since ancient times. Hamon itself is not a stand, but it can get to the point of where it reaches that phase. It's really related when you think about it, like read about what I said in Spin. It's literally around the same ballpark. I believe if someone that does train with Hamon as much as Lisa, Tom Petty, and Joseph, then they would eventually get Hermit Purple regardless of the arrow. But even if I do point a big red arrow at what I'm getting at, there will still be times where people do not agree, and that's totally fine. For the most part, a good portion of my videos are speculation anyways, and it's not a big deal if people do not agree. The speculation and theories is that sometimes it does mean I will connect points to previous videos if it's something to where it has a lot of points on making a lot of sense. Regardless, thank you guys for supporting my beliefs, and even to the people that don't really do, I like to talk about it so I'm fine with connecting up and discussing the topic at hand if you do have something to go against it. Speculation and theories are great when there's people to see where you're coming from, but it's also nice to get the other side of things with valid points and all. The thing about those two abilities is that they have their connection to stands, but let's focus on Hamon in specific. I've done 2 videos relating to the topic, but I suggest you guys check out the connection to Hamon to Hermit Purple video in specific. So Rocky had actually gave us information surprisingly on the topic of Hamon and stands. It's not an outlandish theorization by me, more of clarifying if you ask me. You can read the quote, but I'm going to sum it up. Araki had wanted to visualize Hamon, and since it travels throughout the body, that's why you have Hermit Purple visualizing as being wrapped around the entire body. It wouldn't be that big of a surprise because Araki had actually made the connection way before. Hamon itself is an energy used in the ancient form of the martial art Sendo, and Sendo itself translates into the way of the hermit. Also, another reason why the stand is just vines because it was meant to be used as a connection to anything possible where something can be projected. Hermit Purple is a telepathic stand. The stand can be used to project many things. For example, Joseph used it to make a map of dust that gave him directions directly to what he wanted to get to. That's without him knowing, but the stand knowing. Dio used it to project a vision who Polnareff was looking for, but he had no idea who he was. Wait a minute. Dio had Hermit Purple too? In specific, he had Hermit Purple 2. Well, like number 2, not the other 2. Reason being, the body still had Jonathan being deeply infused with Hamon in his body, since it was originally his. Now, I talk a lot about this in both of the Hamon videos, but you have traces to where if your Hamon is stronger, then that means your Hermit Purple is stronger too. You have young Joseph, and his Hamon being trained made him a strategy genius that knows what his opponent is going to say before they say it, and do before they do it. Tom Petty, a Hamon master, had the ability to read people's futures. So again, the stronger your Hamon is, the stronger your Hermit Purple is, meaning your telepathic abilities would be stronger. Now, we're done with that. What does that mean for Cars? If you watch Battle Tendency, you know that Cars had the strongest Hamon ever. He didn't have Hamon 100 times stronger than Joseph, but hundreds of times stronger, which is pretty vague, but you can make the assumption on how big it is. It'd be ranging from either 100 to 900. Hamon being used on people has the effect of feeling pins and needles, that being quoted. that can either be compared to the feeling of numbness or the feeling of pins and needles that you get from a sunburn. But the worst thing that could actually happen if a human was struck with Hamon by a regular Hamon user or even Hamon master is that they would lose consciousness from it. And that's it, no burning whatsoever. Then you have the Hamon that Kars used on Joseph, that was as if Joseph was struck with the power of the sun. His skin would liquefy and then vaporize, so his Hamon was ridiculously stronger when compared. So what would be his Hermit Purple? Kars would get a stand, that's for sure, but what of it? Well, for being that ridiculously strong, I'm sure that his Hermit Purple would actually pass the form of just being vines. At this point, it might end up being a humanoid stand if Kars wanted it to be, but it could still wrap around Kars. Possibly like a Star Platinum fusion with Hermit Purple, but that's for people that want to draw that or whatever. I want to get into how exactly the abilities would work. If Tom Petty could predict the future, then what could Kars do? What's at the top of all telepathic abilities, or at least most of them? Tom Petty had telepathic precognition. Joseph had mind reading. There's another possibility of Joseph having another ability when the Red Stone of Asia had passed through him, and his Hermit Purple could predict the outcomes in his last stand against Kars, and that's how all of that happened. But again, possibility. Both telepathic abilities by Tom Petty and Joseph are considered basic level telepathy. So since Kars is so far ahead, he should either have master level, ultimate level, or absolute level. I'd believe that he could do everything from basic to absolute level, because when you think about it, certain abilities on this chart, some stands just casually have these abilities. For example, Psychosomatic Illusion is just Hierophant Green's Emerald Splash when you think about it. Casting a powerful illusion capable of causing physical effects on the target. Stands in general are supposed to be technically telepathic in a sense, so some stands alone can take the spot of master level. Kars is definitely supposed to be above stands when it comes to those regular stands. Kars' Hermit Purple should be along the lines of the top 10 strongest stands, if I should say. He would probably end up being top 5 of 10, but I can promise you that he would never be number 1 because we know who takes that space. So what are the abilities of absolute level? Well, in absolute level you get metapathy or metapathy, the ability to read, sense, communicate with, and control an infinite number of minds across all universes, planes, and dimensions. Then there's Mindscape Materialization, the ability to will one's thoughts and their inner world into reality. So would it be one of those? Maybe one of the ultimate level abilities if absolute isn't the right level for it. In my opinion, if we were to choose the ability for it, I'd go with Mental Projection as the main ability, and being able to do a few of the Master Advanced and basic abilities as side powers. More on Kars specifically in the JoJo universe. Him quickly learning abilities off of seeing people do them then actually could even be even more destructive than when you think about the counterpart to Hamon. I'm going to have a timestamp on the video right now for the people that haven't got to part 7, so I can talk about it since this is a spoiler alert technically if you don't know anything about Steel Ball Run. So in part 7 you have Spin and Ball Breaker being the stand of Spin and other tidbits about Spin as a whole. Kars could make himself into a Minotaur if needed, but I'm not really sure if he needs the horse part about him in specific. It's possible he could achieve the golden rotation in a different way since he's able to manipulate his body in so many ways. I doubt that he can surpass perfect, or well, there would be no need to. He could probably just end up replicating it to a T and then have it to where he could do so much with all of his appendages and all. That's a shower thought about it though, because I haven't fully worked out the kinks on it, but in easier terms, Kars can see how Spin is done and fully understand how to do it because he doesn't require a horse since he could be the horse, or well, the Minotaur, or I guess I'm not using the correct mythical beast, but you guys might know exactly which I'm talking about because of his convenience. Before going on to the next topic at hand, I'd like a moment to address support. If you guys use the Amazon link below and either proceed to check out with items you already have in your cart or find and buy items, it gives me a small percent of that with no extra cost to your final price. I'd love it if you guys bookmark the link and use it on any time you go on Amazon, because by being convenient, it also supports me a bit. So now that we've learned about all Kars versus the JoJo verse, what about Kars versus other universes? Let me tell you this beforehand, that where if someone wanted Kars to fight their character, the only way Kars would lose if Kars was in the JoJo verse only. Put it like this, if you put Kars and the character on an even playing field where both universes meet and connect, Kars would get the benefit of both the JoJo verse and the other person's universe too. Since he's all life forms, he would have to be all life forms, including the ones that he's going against, since they exist then. For example, let's say Cars versus Sasuke, and it's on an even playing field where both the JoJo-verse and the Naruto-verse connect. The Sharingan is genetics, but Cars has the ability to see at a cellular level, and along with that, he's able to manipulate his cells to whatever life form he pleases, or in any way, shape, or form. So he would be able to replicate the Sharingan, and he would never go blind because he has the ultimate level of regeneration. If his eyes do go blind, he could repair them or even remove his eyes and just have them regenerate. Along with that, Cars regenerates all the time, and if there's something messing with his rapid regeneration, then he regenerates with something that would work against what it's attacking him or what's messing up the process. So say that Sasuke uses Amaterasu on Cars' body. Pillar Men alone have the ability to manipulate their bodies also, but Cars would end up removing what exact part is being burned off and be able to regenerate it pretty easy. So even if he Amaterasu'd his face, Cars could rip off the skin off of his face and then regenerate the skin ripped off. And then if his hands got caught on fire, then he could cut off each hand and have them regenerate either way. So you're going to have people question if alien characters would be able to go against him since Cars is the ultimate life form on Earth, quote unquote. But the problem with that is that Earth is supposed to be the only place where organisms live in the JoJo-verse. That's why he's the only life form there. As soon as you put Cars against other characters, you're introducing him to more life forms that add onto his list. Since he's all life forms, he would have to add all life forms when putting them against other people. So if you have this immortal character that can basically replicate the genes of a character to a T and even advance further than that, what's the possible challenge to him? If an ability is used, Cars can copy that ability. If an ability takes a toll on the user, it wouldn't take a toll on Cars because of his regenerative abilities. Unlimited stamina, does not age, can copy your genes, do what you do, and could do it better. Cars is busted. That's enough said. Put some Cars versus someone in the comments and I might make a video on it. Also, if it's a certain franchise, I might know people I could do a video with on specific franchises. Depends on what. I might know the people for that specific thing, so we could you guys could get both sides on a specific thing, because I don't want to do it to where I don't want to seem biased. I don't want to be, because I do primarily JoJo content at the moment. I would seem biased for only siding with Cars and not hearing the other person's story and just not giving enough intake on the other side. Even though I do majority watch, like I watch a lot of other stuff and I read a lot of other stuff too. It's just not, I'm not just a JoJo. I want that to be known. I would love to do content on that further, but I'm not. I guess I'm gonna put a video later on for you guys, but it's when I'm done with the franchise. Like when I'm done watching it, then I'll be able to make videos on it, because I don't want to be able. I don't want to do videos on something I haven't finished yet. So also try to make it JoJo versus something else, and not JoJo versus JoJo, meaning like Cars versus Kakyoin or something. Unless it's like highly voted, then I'll go over it, possibly. I'll probably end up going over it, because if it's highly voted for and everyone wants to see it, then yes. Also, comment on your thoughts about this too. I want to know the thoughts about this. Do you guys think that it's a whole like a crazy idea to where it's just like, oh, Cars can't be the ultimate life, or like just something? Because I usually get comments in general that's just like, oh, some type of hole in all of this, and it's just like, so some have correct points to where it actually makes sense, and then some try to just bash in logic of their own into what exactly is going on, and it doesn't piece it together whatsoever. So I want I guess flat ground, even ground explanation or like argument or whatsoever that you guys have. So if you actually do have one, if you like the video, leave a like, comment your thoughts on it. I already said so. Subscribe for more content, and if anything else you guys want to add on, you guys can tell me in the comments, basically. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love each and every one of you. And Cars is busted. I love Cars too, but I don't love Cars more than you guys. I love Powerade more than you. No, I don't. Thank you guys for watching though. Peace out and Godspeed.